Hello and welcome to Getaway Day. This is episode 68. My name is Gautam. His name is Mason. And today we're going to be talking about a number of various topics, including the All-Star game, All-Star weekend, and the Juan Soto situation, and then some teams that we are looking forward to watching in the second half and some players as well. So before we get started, if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Twitter and Facebook at Getaway Day Pod.
So something that I think we should start mentioning, because I totally just realized that this is a thing. On YouTube, don't just subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you actually get notified when we post stuff. I don't think I've ever once said that, but that's kind of key.
Hit that bell, yes.
So
how are you doing, Mason, today?
I'm doing great. It's dark in my room because the sun can't decide if it wants to be out or not, and so all my lights are just all screwy. But other than that, I'm doing fantastic, dude. It's weird not having a game to watch tonight, though.
That is true. Today is the last day until the playoffs where we won't have Major League Baseball. And probably is today the only day in the entire season where there's no games? I think it is.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because I think
no games or no events.
I think tomorrow there's a doubleheader even.
There's a few doubleheaders, yeah.
Dang.
So back at it tomorrow. We've enjoyed the break, but we need baseball back.
I mean, it's really only one day off because we certainly had a lot of stuff going on this weekend.
I'm struggling. I'm going to let you know. I need baseball in my life.
Well, you're an addict, and I think maybe we need to get Matthew and a couple other people around to have an intervention for you.
What would that look like exactly?
I guess we'd show up with baseball bats and just beat the baseball out of you. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll figure that out.
Okay. Yeah, you work on that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the MLB draft, which was on Sunday night. The first round of it was. It continued on Monday and Tuesday. It was 20 rounds. We're not going to talk a whole lot about the draft, but we did want to talk about all the sons of former major leaguers that got drafted, including a bunch of the top picks, the first rounders. So Jackson Holliday was the number one pick in the draft. Son of Matt Holliday went number one overall to the Orioles.
Matt Holliday.
That was a little bit of a surprise, actually, because most people were expecting the number two pick in the draft, another major league son, Drew Jones, son of Andrew Jones, to be picked number one, but he actually went number two to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and then there were actually five guys that were all kind of in the running to be that number one pick, and it was kind of a toss-up. So it was definitely interesting seeing Jackson being number one. I think even Termarr Jackson was one of the Termarr Johnson, was one of the guys that was up there. But yeah, this is the first time that we've ever seen two sons of former major league players go in the first two picks of any draft ever. And they're both out of high school, and it was just freaking cool. That wasn't even it for the first round.
Yeah,
we had.
So after that, Justin Crawford, son of Carl Crawford, who played as recently as 2016 when he was just 34 years old, his son, Justin Crawford, got picked by the Phillies at number 17, and then the very next pick, Cam Collier, son of Lou Collier, got picked by the Reds. And he's just a 17-year-old kid who got his GED early, reclassified his draft year, and went to junior college, and has been awesome. Great prospect, and the Reds probably got a steal there.
Yeah, 100%, because he was one of those guys that was a potential number one pick. So him falling all the way down to 18 was a bit of a shock there. Tons of teams probably are going to regret not picking him up sooner. But we also had 6 other sons of former big leaguers, and these guys were much farther back in the draft. We actually didn't see the next one until pick 107. So almost 80 picks exactly back. And that was Silas Arduin, who I've never heard of. I've never heard of his dad, Danny Arduin, but he was a major leaguer for a long time. Silas was picked by the Orioles. The next couple guys, the names are a bit more familiar. Gowie over here, his Cubbies selected Mark McGwire's second son in order there, 18-year-old Mason McGwire, with pick number 233. Phil Nevin's son, Kyle, was just picked by the Dodgers at 345. Marquise Grissom Jr., son of Marquise Grissom Sr., by the Nats at 381. Jackson Jaha, I guess. Jaha. Son of John Jaha, pick 449 to the Mets. And then the Dodgers doubled down on Major League Sons with Jared Carros, former Dodger great Eric Carros' son. So those last six, are they going to sign or are they going to go to college? I think Kyle Nevin might be graduating college and getting picked. So, but I don't know. But really, those top four is the interesting part.
Yeah, and all those guys. Well, I guess Holiday, Andrew Jones, and Carl Crawford. They were all really good major league players, and all their sons got picked like before them in the draft. So
Yeah.
they have very high hopes for their sons, and obviously they've got the leg up, right? They've grown up around baseball players, pro baseball players, their whole lives.
Jackson Holiday and his younger brother. I can't think of his brother's name right now. He's a sophomore in high school now. He'll be probably a first round pick here in 2 years. But I used to watch them shag fly balls in batting practice at Cardinal games because they would just go with their dad. I think my dad and I went to a game in Milwaukee, and those kids were just out there practicing with the big leaguers. Like, there's a reason some of these guys are as good as they are.
Yep, no doubt. Okay, let's move along to the actual All-Star Weekend non-draft part of it. So the Futures game was on Saturday.
Yep.
That was a good event. A lot of young players kind of like going max effort, especially the pitchers in one inning stints. We talked a lot about some of the players that would be playing in the game last week, and it was impressive. Like there's definitely some awesome prospects there.
But the biggest arm was not even a pitcher. So we talked, I think, 3 weeks ago, maybe, about O'Neal Cruz throwing 97.8 mile an hour across the diamond. So that's the StatCast record at the major league level. In the Futures game, Cardinal shortstop prospect Mason Wynn threw it 100.5 across the infield.
Yeah, that's absurd. That's crazy.
The first baseman was like visibly shaken at how fast that ball came at him.
Yeah.
So that was just nuts. But yeah, so the Futures game is pretty cool. I need to go back and watch it because I didn't have the ability to on Saturday. But I think the next kind of big event that happened was actually, so the celebrity softball game was technically also on Saturday. And do you know there was an in the park home run in the celebrity softball game?
I did not.
JoJo Siwa inside the park home run. She was flying around the bases too. Like, she wanted that thing. So that was cool.
Okay.
But the next event that I actually want to talk about just a little bit was Major League Baseball and Sony San Diego Studios actually put on the first in-person MLB The Show tournament on Monday, the Content Creators Cup. And friend of the pod, Ashley Sanders, let's see, I got a new command in Discord, so we're gonna do that and try that out. Or new command in Twitch. But so Ashley Sanders participated in that. That was really, really cool to watch. It had a lot of issues for the first time happening. It was outside in LA in like 100-degree weather. they had some connectivity issues with the Wi-Fi and all that stuff, so there were some problems with it. But it was really cool to see that baseball is now trying to get into that esports community, because like Madden, FIFA, NHL, NBA 2K, they've all had like esports leagues that are like huge. Like the prizes on these tournaments are massive, and this is MLB's first foray into that. Uh, and so it was really cool to see. It was kind of a pro-am style. So 8 content creators, 8 just other influencers, but that was a fun watch.
Nice. Sounds
Yeah.
cool. I guess what else happened on Monday was the home run derby,
Yeah.
and Mason, take it away
Yeah.
on
So the
that.
home run derby was really fun to watch. It was way more fun at the beginning. I think you said you came in kind of towards the end, is when you got home.
Yeah, I had a softball game, so I missed the beginning.
Yeah. But right out of the gate, Julio Rodriguez comes out and sets the record for the most home runs in the first round with 32 ever. Most home runs ever. And then Corey Seager, his opponent, goes and hits 24, which you look at that and go, that's awful. Uh, that would have been the third most in a first round ever had Julio not just hit 32 right before him. So Corey Seager kind of got poor draw there. But then Pete Alonso beat Ronald Acuna by 1 there. And then it kind of, for the next 2 rounds or the next 2 matchups, was not great. Like Jose Ramirez didn't really do all that well. So Juan Soto only beat him by 1. He beat him by like 2 or 3 because they were terrible at counting. Like they were like a solid 3 pitches behind on counting home runs. It was bad. So Juan Soto beat him by 1, hit 18 official. And then Kyle Schwarber and Albert Pujols both had just miserable rounds and put up 13 home runs each, went to a swing off, at which point Albert went on a 6 pitch, 6 home run streak. And so he ended up taking it with 20. And that was really freaking cool to see for me, because Albert has been around since he's been a major league mainstay since 2001. I don't think he's even been optioned since he came up. And he was in this mostly as just a final huzzah sort of thing, but he put up like a legitimate effort in this home run derby, and just seeing him participate at all was surreal to me. Just because I've watched this guy pretty much every day since 2001, and so getting to see him not only participate but advance over the number 1 seed, even though the number 1 seed just completely crapped the bed, that was really, really cool. And then Albert almost moved on to the finals. He put up 15 home runs, and Juan Soto in like the last second put up home run number 15 and 16. So Soto moved on, and then Julio Rodriguez went up against the champion of the last 2 home run derbies, Pete Alonso, who was hands down the favorite to win this thing. And Julio put up another 31 home runs, and Pete just could not match it. He only put up 22. And so we got to see Juan Soto, last year's runner-up, versus Julio Rodriguez, rookie extraordinaire. And Soto ended up taking it. He passed Julio, I think, before regular time ended in that round. And the bat flip, I don't think the bat came down. Like, I've watched the video back. You cannot see the bat come back down. I don't know where it went.
When he won it?
Yeah.
No, it came down. It came down near second base.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to
saw
go
it
see
land.
that again, because I was looking like around home plate. I didn't even look out at second base.
Yeah. I did
Dang.
see that bat flip, and no, but it was a really cool mix of players, young and old. Obviously, Soto is like a very unique player because he's been in the majors for 5 years now, but he's still only 23 years old. And he's done the home run derby. But then to have Julio and then Albert Pujols and then other established guys like Jose Ramirez and Schwarber,
Corey
um,
Seager.
Corey Seager, yeah. So it's a cool event, and I think since they went to the bracket style with the different time kind of elements to it that what made it way better than how it was in the past.
Yeah, where you just got 10 outs and you
And that
hit
would
as
take
many home runs
forever.
as you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
It took longer and there were fewer home runs hit.
There was no real dramatics to it.
Yeah. So this is definitely the way to do it. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the way it's seated because like some of the matchups, like there was someone that I was talking in just a group forum with that said Corey Seager got absolutely screwed. And it's like, well, Corey Seager went up against the 6th seed. Like, if he got blown out, like, yeah, he hit more home runs than the rest of them, but like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Do you want us to like just let the most home runs in the round advance and just do it that way? I guess we could.
Yep.
But I don't know. That'd make it interesting because then that would have had actually Julio Rodriguez and Pete Alonso in the final round. So could have been interesting.
Yep. Okay, so Soto's the home run champion. We'll come back to him in a little bit. We'll talk about the All-Star game first. So, All-Star game, American League won again for the 9th year in a row, which is kind of weird, but I don't know why that happens,
Hey,
but
the
it
National
does.
League looked great in the first inning.
Yeah. But to me, the thing that stood out in the All-Star game was the way they were presenting it on the broadcast with lots of interviews in the dugouts. Big Poppy was in the dugout doing a bunch of interviews, and
Hey, the man. That was my favorite moment, I think. Well,
yes, that was a good moment.
there's another one too, but I'll let you finish your thing first.
And the other thing was how many players they had mic'd up throughout the game. And I wanted to talk about some of those specific instances that I thought were really cool. The first that I saw was Alek Manoah, who was actually mic'd up while he was pitching, and he was kind of talking through what he was doing, and you could tell he was really amped up for his first All Star game, and he really had the adrenaline going. He was trying to throw really hard, and that's a point I want to make about the All Star game for baseball that's different from other sports is that the players are actually trying as hard as they can in the game because I mean, like, what else do you do in baseball? You can't you can't go through the motions really. You have to just do what you do. So
Yeah,
it's different than like the NBA All Star Game or the Pro Bowl or anything like that.
it's definitely different from the Pro Bowl because they're not just going to go home the next day and then sit around until they start training and getting ready for the next season. Like
Yeah.
you start playing again in 2 days. So you
Mhm.
can't really half-ass it because this is also your practice. So
Yeah. It's like a little bullpen, and
yeah, the
Manoah ended up striking out all three, or he struck out three guys in the inning, and then he went off the mound, and he was pretty pumped.
well, and after he came off the mound, this is actually the little story I wanted to tell you about um, Big Poppy. So Big Poppy, when he was going through the dugout and he was talking with everybody, and he was like, he was excited. He was running through, just like talking real quick to each person, trying to hit everyone. He goes over to Manoah and he goes, "If you were pitching to me, what would you throw me?" Manoah goes, "I'd throw you a fastball up and in, try and brush you off the plate." And Big Poppy just goes, "I would have homered," and then he just ran away. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the definitely smart on Fox getting Big Poppy involved. He's hilarious. He's great.
Yeah.
The other one that was really cool was when they had Jose Trevino and Nestor Cortez mic'd up and able to communicate with each other while Trevino was catching and Nestor Cortez was pitching. So they actually work together on a regular basis because they're both on the Yankees. So um, basically, Nestor would say what pitch he wanted to throw, and then Trevino would kind of give him some instruction about like where that would be, and it would be verbal, so everyone can hear that, and that was really cool to hear happening.
Yeah. And then I think as they were talking about it, I think at one point Nestor said, "I'm going to throw this one sidearm." And then the guys ask Jose, it's like, do you ever know when he's gonna go sidearm? Like, is there a tell? And I honestly don't remember what he said, but I think he said no. He has no idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
Nestor is a funny guy on the mound, and he does some crazy stuff with his timing, with his leg, where he's just moving his leg around like crazy before he delivers the pitch. Um, but yeah, uh, anything else from the All Star game that you thought was cool?
well, that I thought was cool. Yes. Um, Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run. That was cool.
Oh, one other Cardinals thing that I thought was really cool was when Helsley was pitching,
Yep.
he was throwing absolutely as hard as he possibly could. He hit
103.
103. He hit
That is
103, and there was one specific at bat when he was facing Luis Arias. So very cool matchup. Guy that throws harder than anyone basically in the game right now, versus guy that's better at putting the bat on the ball than basically anyone in the league right now in Arias, who leads the league in batting average. And I think he got a hit actually,
yeah. Because
off of.
Helsley got the first two strikeouts, and then Arias got the single. I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a single that just like ate up the second baseman basically.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was a nice, fun matchup that you don't see every day.
Yeah. I didn't see it anyway. I need to go back and watch that. There may or may not have been a kind of watermark over my screen. I didn't say that out loud. But no, it was really cool. There was some really really good performances in that All-Star game. Class A in the ninth inning just dominated. He was throwing 99-mile-an-hour cutters and just dotting the corners, and it was cool.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And they actually had in place some rules if the game were to be tied after the ninth inning, where they were going to do some sort of home run swing off sort of thing to decide the winner of the game. But unfortunately, we didn't get there. But I think they can use that All Star game maybe to try out some freaky rules and see what happens. Why not? Right?
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I would love for regular season games to be decided in home run derby.
I'm not with you at all there.
No,
But no.
I think it should be a home run derby of your relief pitchers.
Then no one's going home ever.
Well, oh well.
Well,
um, yeah, that would be cool though. Like, it would have been interesting to see them like implement just like the really small changes, just to see what happened. Like
Ban
the slightly larger bases, things like that.
yeah, but that's already coming, right? They don't.
Well, true, but it would have been interesting to do it like with these guys, because it's still technically in discussion as to if it's going to be next year or if it's going to be the year after, when Bobby Manfred just says, "Well, you're getting it anyway." So it would have been interesting to let them try it during the All-Star game, just to see if that's something that they want to permit for next year.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think it's even a spot for the drastic stuff too, because it's an exhibition game. There's no risk in trying it.
yeah, that's true. We'll implement a 10th fielder and have them
The rover, the softball rover.
yes,
Yeah, they need that.
let's do it.
Okay. Anything else on the All Star game?
I don't think so. I think I want to talk about this one particular All-Star.
There's one particular All Star named Juan Soto. So Juan Soto is kind of amazing in that he was somehow able to do the home run derby, win the home run derby, while there have been all sorts of rumors and different stories breaking about him in the last couple of weeks here. So, what's the situation with Soto? He plays for the Nationals. The Nationals might be going for sale pretty soon, and they've offered him a 15-year, $440 million contract that he turned down.
Yeah.
So that's the
Which
that's the most basic level of it.
which even if we were to like ignore everything we're about to talk about next, why would he accept that, knowing that the team is about to go up on sale? potentially. They're not really looking competitive right now. They're not competitive at all. And so they're expecting him to sign up for 15 years of uncertainty. That's a big ask. Like, that's a huge
Well,
ask.
it's not really uncertainty, right? It is certainty in some way.
It's
It's a lot of
certainty that he's
money.
going to get $440 million, but like, this is a guy who is he's very easily on pace to be a Hall of Famer. He's 23 years old. He's got
Yeah, he's
21.4 career WAR, 118 home runs. He's got like one of the highest walk rates I think I've ever personally seen. Like,
right. He's definitely a player that could take the best player in baseball title away from Mike Trout in the next few years. Right.
yeah.
So talking
And
about absolute superstar stud.
it,
And yeah, and just from a money perspective, it doesn't really make too much sense to take the deal. Obviously, you would get the certainty if you do take it, but it's less than 30 million per year, so nowhere close to like a Garrett Cole 36 million per year or like a Mike Trout contract or anything like that. And when you have Scott Boras as your agent, he likes his guys to get to free agency and test the market, and he definitely wants to break all the records with contracts. And this contract does not do that, right? So, I mean,
yeah.
it would be the biggest contract in total money, right? But it wouldn't break any kind of AAV
Yeah, it doesn't move the needle.
record.
It's incredibly team friendly, even though the team is committing to 15 years of a player, which that, from a team standpoint, sounds like it would be like just a straight up no. You just shouldn't commit that much. But for this guy, like, he's only going to be what, 38 when a 15-year contract is up? Like, Albert had a 10-year deal with the Angels and he was over 40 when it ended. So
Yeah,
I like, from that standpoint, I think it's probably okay. But I just keep coming back to, like, they offered him that much money, and then when he turned it down, they wouldn't charter the flight for him to the All-Star game like every other team, the exception of the Oakland A's, does. And so they made him fly commercial. He got in at 1:30 in the morning and then won the Derby that night.
yeah,
Like,
absurd.
yeah. But why would they expect him to take that deal? He doesn't know who the owner's going to be. He doesn't know if they're going to keep the GM or the manager around. He doesn't know if they're going to pay to make the team competitive or if they're just going to try and gut it. So he's basically, at 23 years old, being asked if he's just going to sign up to know nothing about his future for $440 million.
Yeah, and
I
there's
wouldn't
one
have
other
taken
thing
that
I
deal.
I just wanted to say is that people aren't really talking about this much, but imagine you are Juan Soto in this situation. He actually likes being on the Nationals, or at least he says he does. It's the only organization he's known, and he must be feeling like so much pressure right now because um, just he's getting like backlash maybe from some people for not taking the deal, or I don't know. What where would you be if you're Juan Soto right now?
I You know where I would be? I would be where Aaron Judge is after Marley Rivera like told him on ESPN on air at the at the Home Run Derby or whatever. There's this 8-year-old kid named Jacob who is sad that you might not be a Yankee after this year. What would you tell Jacob? Microphone in his face. He was flabbergasted. He's like, why are you putting me on the spot with this question live on ESPN right now at the All-Star game?
Is that what he said? What did he say?
No, that was the look in his face. He hesitated for like a solid 10 seconds and then he just said, well, there's a lot of really good Yankee or players on the Yankees. Don't be sad. Just hopefully you're an Aaron Judge fan for life. And it's
Yeah,
like, it was the
that's
best
an
answer he
impossible
could
spot.
get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the same spot Juan Soto's in right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I get it. Nats fans are going to be really upset if he leaves or if they trade him, which I guess brings us into the main conversation here. But
Yeah. So So now that he's declined this offer, the next thing that comes to everyone's mind is what is this trade going to look like, and is he going to get traded? So we'll address that first question first. What does it take to acquire a superstar talent like Juan Soto? Because this doesn't happen every day. Actually, it never happens at all. The one comp that people have used is the Miguel Cabrera trade, where he got traded to Detroit, and they got a handful of random players that didn't really make anywhere near the contribution that Miguel Cabrera made to the Tigers, obviously. And,
Well,
and
and
that,
it wasn't even just Miguel Cabrera that went though. It was Miguel Cabrera and Dontrell Willis, who at the time was still pretty good.
yeah,
Um, and Cameron Maybin and Andrew Miller did come back, but like Andrew Miller didn't make it big with the Marlins.
no, and
So
yeah,
and yeah, it was six prospects, but Cameron Maybin and Andrew Miller are really the only two that like did anything.
yeah. So basically, Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, don't get traded right in the primes of their careers, and that's what we might be looking at here. So if a team were to do it, they're gonna be giving up their farm, right? They're gonna be giving up their top prospects, maybe some major league ready guys, pitchers, hitters. It's gonna be just a massive, massive package that gets this done.
Yeah, and MLB.com put out an article today of just like seven different, like what a potential package for Juan Soto would look like from seven different teams. They obviously like tried to do like teams that might benefit the most or might be able to afford Juan Soto because of how much he's going to cost. But let's see which
So the
team do we
first
want to
thing,
go with.
so like the first thing I think about is it's got to be a team that has a really good farm system first and foremost.
Yep,
So um, a lot of people have been saying Padres. So is there one for the Padres in that list?
there is actually.
Okay, I want to
Um,
hear that.
and let's see. So, but it's got to be a really good farm system, and it's got to be they have money to spend because Juan Soto is going to cost quite a bit in the next 2 years in arbitration.
Yeah, and we know that the Padres are already kind of up against that luxury tax. I think they're over it right now. So that's something to consider. But
Yeah.
Preller's got some tricks up his sleeve.
So
What's the Padres' proposed
surprisingly, this
offer?
is the one with the least number of actual prospects on it. There's really, really young players, but they've already kind of lost their prospect status.
Okay.
So according to David Adler, um, for the Padres to get Juan Soto, he kind of expects they would have to give up CJ Abrams, who was, I think, their second overall prospect for a while, and he was top 10 in the majors, right?
Yeah.
Mackenzie Gore, who was their number one prospect, and he was like the number 2 or 3 in the majors.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Adrian Morahan, left-handed pitcher who has been, he's still really young, but he has been up like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, I
Sound
think
right?
he had an injury in there too.
Yeah. The Padres' current top prospect, Robert Hassel, who's the number 23 MLB prospect. And then the Padres' number 8, not a top 100 prospect, Joshua Mears. So that's giving up 5 guys, 1 top 100 prospect, 2 very recent top 100 prospects, and a major league pitcher.
Yeah. So obviously that sounds like a lot, but you're talking about 5 players, and maybe they make the same like amount of WAR or something as Juan Soto in a single season. But that's the key. It's that Juan Soto is one player doing that, and
Yeah.
you can't just add up the WARs and say it equals Juan Soto because he's
Well,
doing this all on his own.
and it's not like you're just doing it for the rest of this year. You're doing it for the rest of this year, next year, and the year after that. So a player getting traded in the middle of their prime with 2.5 years of control, I think might be even more crazy than just trading in their prime period.
Mhm.
So, because like that's
And
control is value, is what that is. So it just drives the price up because in arbitration, you submit a number, he submits a number, and then if they don't match up, someone goes and picks between them. But you could potentially get some cost savings there versus the open market. So that drives the price up for a trade. So
Yeah, and that brings up a interesting point about kind of the urgency of the Nationals. There really shouldn't be any urgency to make the trade, I guess, because they shouldn't be settling for some trade because it's not like they're going to lose him at the end of the year or anything. They can make this trade in the winter and maybe get more teams in on it, not just the contending teams for this year. Because I guess I can't really see it a bad team trading for him right now, but maybe I could in the offseason if they can convince themselves that if they trade for Soto, then they'll be good
so
and they can be good.
I've got a question for you. If you were the Nationals, would you be looking for a trade package of guys who are basically major league ready right now? Like that Padres one where you've got Mackenzie Gore, you've got CJ Abrams. Or because that team does not really have anything else that's kind of going for it right now, they don't really have an up and coming superstar. They really just have one pitcher in their rotation that's any decent, and I don't even know if he's really broken out yet in Josiah Gray. Like, would you want to go for more prospects? Like guys that aren't quite ready for the majors?
Yeah, it's a tough question because yeah, they definitely need some depth. They just need good prospects throughout their system, really. But at the same time, a quicker turnaround sounds so much more appealing. If you get guys that are major league ready, guys that are um, already at the major league level, that sounds better to me. But I don't
Yeah,
know what they're gonna do.
because then kind of on the other side of the spectrum from the Padres, and let me see if there's a better example, but I think the Mets might be the best example here.
I'm guessing theirs is a lot of prospects that are major league ready because they've got quite a few that are pretty close. I would say they don't have the depth at those low levels of the minors, really.
Yeah, so theirs are all major league ready ish, but it's the most top 100 prospects that like a lot of these others have like a major league piece and then like a low level prospect that's not in the top 100, but the kind of projected package from the Mets would be reliever David Peterson. Reliever?
He's a starter.
He's a starter. Starting left-handed pitcher David Peterson, and then the number 2 prospect in baseball, Francisco Alvarez. The number 20 prospect in baseball, Brett Beatty. The number 52, Ronnie Mauricio, and the number 87, Alex Ramirez. And so, like, yeah, those guys maybe don't match exactly what I was saying as far as like age necessarily, but you're getting a lot of prospect value because you're getting 4 top 100 prospects. And I feel like even if they were going for young prospects, because it's Juan Soto, they're going to be asking for young, high prospects. Guys like the Cubs would basically have to throw in Pete Crow Armstrong if the Cubs were going to be in it. That's the type of guys I'm thinking that the Nationals would want. Now, if there's any of that available from teams that would potentially trade for Soto, it's a different question.
Yeah, I guess it they shouldn't trade him, right?
No,
But how do you trade a guy like this? This is what you're looking for. You can't replace Juan Soto with anyone. You're never going to find another one.
Yeah, which it kind of is an interesting point. If you're any other team, why would you not trade away the farm for this man?
Exactly. Who cares about these amazing prospects? Like they're still not going to live up to what Juan Soto is.
So on the other side of that, this is kind of the main point that I wanted to, when we were talking before the pod, kind of the main point that I wanted to mention is like, at the same time, if you're any other GM, yes, you want Juan Soto. It's a no-brainer you want this man on your team. But to do it, you're going to have to basically give away everything you've been working for the last like 5, 6, 7 years and building up your farm system. And so there were a couple of, and these aren't like good proposals. They're just Twitter proposals for the Cardinals that I was looking at. and they're saying that you would have to trade Jordan Walker, the number 7 prospect in baseball, and then basically every young pitcher that we have. So Matthew Liberatore, um, uh, Michael McGreevy, the guy that I can't think of his name, but he was our other, he was our second round prospect last year, Graceffin, something like that. And then Alec Burleson and like Tyler O'Neill. Like that's giving up all of the high up close to the major starting pitchers that we have, and the Cardinals are a team that can't give up starting pitching right now. So like
You still wouldn't do that deal though?
I don't know. I would, we probably wouldn't need to pitch if we had him. So I don't know. But it's just one of those that kind of thinking has me like, why would a GM want to go do that? Because they've been putting so much time and effort into building the whole system to keep the team winning for a long time. And now you're asking them to go make an obvious move, but also take that big hit to their pride, the thing they've been building for a long time. It feels like something an owner would have to almost force a GM to do.
Well, there's that, but also it's the organization's confidence that they can rebuild that farm system. So, like, you look at the Dodgers, right? So, if the Dodgers go trade for Juan Soto, they'll just replace those prospects in a year, right? They're so good at it. They have new prospects coming up every year that are making an impact at the major league level. So, I mean, the Nationals are the exact opposite of the Dodgers in that they don't seem like they can develop anyone. Um,
And they can't coax anyone to come.
yeah, so it's just
They've basically lucked into a couple of top overall picks, and
right.
that's how they got their superstars.
And I guess they've done well in free agency. I guess like
I mean,
why were
so
the Nationals good?
I mean,
They had
yeah,
some good top picks that worked out for them.
yeah, they had good top picks, and they were able to coax Max Scherzer, and that's really all they've done. Because like Strasburg was a number 1 pick, Bryce Harper was a number 1 pick, Ryan Zimmerman was not a number 1, but was he a number 1?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he was a number 1 pick, and those are kind of the 3 guys that if I think
Anthony
about the National,
Rendon.
yeah, so like they lucked into some really good picks, and that's kind of what they built their success on, and they haven't had those high picks since then, and they've really only convinced one free agent that panned out like on the big contract, and that was Max Scherzer. Yeah, they brought in Patrick Corbin. That's kind of
He
an
won them the World
albatross.
Series. Yeah.
It's true, but it's an albatross of a contract now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. It's really hard to say what they're gonna do. Now that I think about it, Mike Rizzo's not that great of a GM.
Of it that we haven't. What?
I said, now that I think about it, Mike Rizzo's not that good of a GM.
Yeah, I guess, but there's a lot more that goes into it, right? It's not just him. It's like they're clearly not very good at developing pitchers, for example.
Yeah.
Like that's not on Mike Rizzo necessarily.
No, but there's definitely a lot of blame there on the ownership, and so maybe a potential sale of the team would be beneficial.
Yeah, and hopefully they get like a good owner, like another Steve Cohen in here, but
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is.
Mark Cuban, maybe. Although I think he wants to buy the Pirates, so
that would be good for them.
That would be good for them.
So the bringing up Corbin and Strasburg makes me remember that this potential deal could include probably Corbin as just sort of like a money offset as part of the deal. So that's another just a layer to this very complicated situation.
Would taking on Corbin reduce the number of prospects you have to give up?
Yeah.
Or the quality of the prospect, I guess. So instead of giving up 4 top 100 prospects, you give up maybe 3 and a low level guy.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, that definitely makes the trades more interesting because this entire article is just straight up Juan Soto for people. But yeah, that Corbin one, like he's making bank. What is Corbin making the next 2 years? Let me
like
get it.
20-some million. And it's just this. Is it this year and next? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Roster resource
Yeah, I think it's a
Nationals.
5-year deal. So
Patrick, yeah, so Patrick Corbin is going to make 25 million next year and 35 million in 2024. So he's got basically
I
60
didn't
million
realize he
left.
had 2 more years. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Guy got a 6-year contract. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
No one got a
Six
no
year
pitcher got a
140.
6-year contract this year. So
And
that was a
then
rough one.
Strasburg is making 35 million every year
Through
until
2026.
yeah. So there's 140 million after this year that's still on that contract.
And he's out for the season again. Like his career is kind of in jeopardy, but I assume he'll just kind of hang on because he needs to get paid.
Well, and I mean with him, I have a feeling that the Nationals are probably collecting some insurance money on that contract. So they're not like he's getting all his money, but I don't think it's really gonna hurt them so much. Because there are like disaster insurance stuff for in major league
I don't know if this
sports.
counts as a disaster though. Come on. I mean, it is a disaster, but I don't think it counts as one.
I'm sure the way that their insurance policy is written, they'll collect something. These are multimillionaires. They know how to get their insurance to pay them.
Yeah. I guess are there any other teams that you wanted to talk about that maybe in the sweepstakes? Because really, any big market team should be in. So like the Mets and the Yankees, the Cubs should really be in on this.
So,
Um,
and the Cardinals should be talking about it. They should be talking. I don't know
every
that
team should be.
well, yeah. And the Cardinals have the prospect pedigree right now to make this move.
Right.
Do I think Mo's going to do it? No, because I don't think he's going to be able to fleece them like he did the Rockies or the Diamondbacks or insert team that he fleeced. Don't bring up the Marlins. But yeah, like every team should be in on this. Not every team can afford it. They'll probably all call the Nationals. If any team does not at least call to say, is there a way that we can get him? They're dumb. Because who knows? Maybe the Nationals are stupid.
We don't know.
Kind of doubt it. At least not stupid enough to like trade him to the Royals for nothing, or the Diamondbacks for nothing. But the one other team that I kind of wanted to talk about just a little bit was the Yankees, because the Yankees, with that whole Aaron Judge discussion that thing that I mentioned, like it kind of sounds like he's probably not coming back. And so
yeah, and if you're replacing 30-year-old gigantic bodied Aaron Judge with 23-year-old Juan Soto, and you sign him to the extension and said, like, which guy would you rather have? I think you'd rather have Soto in most cases.
I would rather have Soto for sure. And honestly, the Yankees can put together a really, really good package, and I don't think it really hurts them like at all.
Yeah, they're kind of like the Dodgers, so
yeah, because
they can replace their system, and they've got a good bunch of prospects.
So Jason Catania is saying that it would be something along the lines of Glaber, Nestor Cortez, and Nestor would be kind of a big hit, but then it would be Anthony Volpe, Jason Dominguez, and Ken Waldichuk, who are the number 8, 39, and 72 prospects in baseball.
If I was in Nationals, I would not accept that. That's not enough.
You don't think so?
No. Glaber is just a few years away from free agency. Nestor is like a guy having a breakout season.
We had a breakout season last year.
Yeah, but he's not exactly an ace. He's just having an awesome season.
But I think the key there is Volpe, Dominguez, and Waldichuk. Because like those guys are Volpe for sure looks like an absolute stud. He's cooled off a bit this year, right? He's not doing as hot.
He's been all right this year, but not great.
And Jason is still really, really young, but he was like the most hyped 16-year-old prospect ever. And is most hyped a good thing? You could argue probably not. And I don't really know Ken Waldichuk at all, but I don't know. It just, I feel like that is more the youth movement. Like, because Volpe is close-ish, but he's not major league ready yet. Jason is still a couple years off. Ken Waldichuk is actually AAA pitcher who's basically major league ready now. So that would help them, and they'd have 6 years of control. You would have probably 2 years before you see a guy like Volpe come up, or maybe a year till you see Volpe, 2 or 3 until Jason. And so your window is kind of out later, past where the Mets competitive window is. So it kind of seems like a not a terrible move to me, while also getting 2 major leaguers who can just keep you relevant right now.
Yeah, if I'm the Yankees, I'd make that move in an instant.
Yeah.
So final question on this topic. Do you think he gets moved here before the trade deadline, August 2nd this year?
Me personally, no, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough time for any GM to really put together a package that, one, they can stomach and also is going to tempt the Nationals to move him.
Okay, Jerry Dipoto accepts your challenge.
Maybe
he'll make it happen. They got the prospect depth to do it.
Yeah, they do
in Seattle, so it's another team to watch.
I see him moving in the offseason, honestly. I think this year he's probably where he's at. There's a lot of teams that are going to be trying to get a deal done, and I don't think the Nats are going to take it because I don't think they're that desperate to move him. They're going to treat him like crap, and he's going to keep asking to be traded, but after the second, he can't really ask until the offseason. So
I don't think he's asking to be traded. That's the thing.
Well, but if they treat him like crap, he will eventually. It'll turn into an Arenado situation where Arenado was not really asking to be traded, and then all of a sudden, like, things got really bad, and he's like, "No, you know what? Trade me." So that's kind of where I see this headed. Like,
yeah,
this guy won them a World Series. He didn't sign a 15-year, $440 million contract that the only certainty with it was the money. And then they made him fly coach to the All-Star game. Like,
I feel like that one was really hurting you.
Well, it just shows the disrespect. And yeah, like, so I don't know.
I'm with you. I don't think he's going to get traded in the next 2 weeks. But if he were to, that would just completely change Major League Baseball. It's like a landscape shifting move for the team that actually is able to acquire him.
Okay, I have one final proposal, and then we could probably. Then I think I'm done with the Soto conversation for now because I'm starting to get kind of angry. I don't know if you could tell. But Soto to the Pirates for the entire farm system, all of it.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. Maybe.
I mean, it's probably going to offset the WAR.
Does it come with O'Neal Cruz?
No.
Oh, okay.
It does not come with O'Neal Cruz. It comes with the guys who are currently down there.
Okay.
So what do you think? Would you take that deal?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that's the Soto talk. We won't make Mason any more angry than he already is. We don't want that today.
I'm starting to get kind of Rockies vibes from the Nats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. Let's finish off today with some teams and some players that we're looking forward to watching as we head into the second half of the season. About like 70 games to go for most of the teams. And, we got a lot of good baseball ahead of us. What team are you looking at?
So I'm looking at the Minnesota Twins. And I don't know if I'm looking at them in a good way or a bad way, to be honest with you. Like, they're currently in... Oh, I had the standings pulled up. Where did I put them?
They're in first place.
Well, they're in first place, but the record, I think, is what I was trying to find. There we go. They're 50-44. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games coming into the All-Star break. A lot of them to division rival Chicago White Sox. And so they're only 2 games ahead in the division. This is a team that could be really, really good, or they could just completely fall off the face of the earth. Because kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the season is like they're their rotation is kind of odd. I don't really understand it. It's Sonny Gray, Dylan Bundy, Joe Ryan, and I don't even know who else is a starter right now.
It's
Bailey
been a bunch
Ober's
of other guys
hurt,
like
right?
Bailey Ober's hurt. Chris Archer, I think, might be hurt right now.
Yeah, Chris Paddock's
So,
done for season.
yeah. Devin Smeltzer.
Yeah,
Like
and
some
so
starts.
like they're in first place, but like I really don't have a lot of faith in that rotation just because nobody on their pitching staff has accumulated more than 1.3 WAR, which is kind of low, and most of the guys are at 0.1 or lower.
Yeah.
Including Devin Smeltzer is negative WAR, and he's made 12 of their starts. So their pitching staff leaves just as many questions as it has the last couple of years. Where I have a lot more faith in them is kind of on the hitting side, with some caveats. So Luis Arias, no problem with. I think he's going to keep rocking. He's going to be great. Byron Buxton is phenomenal. I love that guy. His average sucks right now. It's so bad. He's hitting for a 216 average, but he's got
It's
23
really weird.
home runs.
He has a 225 BABIP, which is like very odd to me because he's really fast. It shouldn't be that low. So I think he could play a lot better than he has, and he's been great. He's like 2.9 WAR so far. So
Yeah.
I think their offense is awesome.
Carlos Correa has not really been what we thought he would be. He's been solid, but he's not been amazing. So I think he might be able to break out of that here in the second half. And so there's a lot of really good things to look at with this lineup. It's the complete opposite in the pitching staff, which is kind of exactly what the Twins have been for years. And last year they were awful. In 2019, they were really good. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out, are they going to win the division? Are they just going to completely fall off a cliff? I don't know, but they're kind of the most interesting team to me right now.
Yeah, I agree. They're really interesting and definitely a team that we should keep an eye on for the starting pitching sweepstakes, whatever trade market, because they could use a pitcher more than just about any other team right now.
Yeah,
they're clearly a good team, but they've got some obvious flaws.
Yeah. Who's your team?
I've been trying to like pick a team, but I'm just gonna go with an easy pick and go with the Mariners, who are on a current 14 game winning streak, and they've kind of turned their season around because really disappointing to start the year. Julio Rodriguez has totally become a superstar player for them after the first month of the season, and he's gonna hopefully lead them to the playoffs, and that's what I'm watching for. So I think they're pretty near like wild card position right now. They're 51 and 42. Probably not going to catch the Astros for the division lead, but the bullpen started pitching like they did last year. They've got kind of three-headed monster in Paul Sewald, Diego Castillo, Andres Munoz. Those guys have been fantastic recently. And then, offense is pretty solid as well.
Yeah, and there's guys that have been underperforming on that offense even still. And so if as those guys kind of come back to their norms, even if they don't excel, like that's just gonna make this lineup even better. So I like that pick.
All right, let's do one player each real quick before we get out of here that we want to keep our eyes on for this second half of the year.
All right. So me first or you?
You got it.
All right. I am picking a superstar. He's been a superstar a couple times. He was awful in the month of April, and that is Marcus Semien. Semien in the month of April hit 157 with only 5 doubles and 8 singles. Like that, he was just bad, and he was not much better in May. Since then, though, he's hit about 280 with 12 home runs, 4 double. Wait, am I reading that right? Yeah, 12 home runs. Surprisingly, only 6 doubles in that time frame. But he's just hitting the ball a lot better. Um, the biggest thing with him in the first couple months was that he was he was hitting the ball just straight into the ground basically the whole time. In the month of May, his ground ball per fly ball ratio was 1.32. That's nuts. Like it was almost a 50% ground ball rate. Since then, he's actually got his ground ball rate back to about 30%, and his fly ball rate has climbed up to about 50%. And with that elevation of the ball has come the long balls that we've kind of become accustomed to from him over the last like 2 years. So I kind of see whatever change he made there in June is sticking. And he's hitting the ball harder now than he did at the beginning of the year. And so I kind of expect to see that continue.
So. Nice. Yes. Good to see the Semien back on track after the rough start that we kind of saw coming, because, you know, he was due for a little regression and obviously signed the huge contract with Texas. So a little bit of a learning curve, maybe. I'll pick another guy that is also on a new free agent contract in Kyle Schwarber. And Kyle Schwarber has, I don't know if it's been quiet, but he is kind of like snuck up on me here, but he has 29 home runs already. And the last month or so, he's just been just on a tear. And we saw that he did this last year when he was on the Nationals for a little bit, and then we got traded to the Red Sox. He can kind of just get ridiculously hot at times, and the Phillies really need that with Bryce Harper out. He can be the guy that can help their offense stay afloat, and maybe the Phillies can make the playoffs, because they'll be another team that will definitely be on the lookout for making improvements at the trade deadline to get them to the back to the playoffs finally.
And they're currently in a wild card spot. They're still 8.5 back of the Mets in the East, but they can definitely make a run for it with some improvement. So we'll see.
All right. So that is going to wrap things up for us. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you subscribe and give us some feedback in the comments, and hit that bell on the YouTube thing to get those notifications.
Hit that bell on the YouTube thing. Let's do it. All right. Yes. Thank you guys very much. We will be back here next week with another episode. It's going to be a big one. It is episode 69 coming up next week. That's going to be fun. Pay attention to the social media this week, because I've got a couple ideas of a giveaway that I kind of want to do. So check that out. We'll see you next week. Later.